Hey, good morning. Happy Thursday. This is the best part of your day. It is Wireless Chat, Josh and Matt, and we have an amazing show for you today. Amazing interview. We've got Steve Marvicsin from Vista and from Marceco, who is a long-term, recent 10-year employee of Marceco.
That's right.
And he's here today to talk to us specifically about Vista, what's happening at Vista, um, and how do we help Vista kind of expand its reach. So, Steve, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background so the audience knows, what you've been doing and how did you get to where you are?
Sure. Hopefully it's not too boring, but uh, I got into the industry in 2002, and I worked for a company that some may remember, VoiceStream. And VoiceStream soon after got acquired by Deutsche Telekom, which became T-Mobile. And so I worked at T-Mobile for many years, and then I eventually decided we had a great growth program at the time, and I decided to take T-Mobile up on the offer, and myself and a coworker actually went out and we opened up our own T-Mobile postpaid store. And we ran that for a couple years, learned a lot and learned a lot of hard lessons. Matt, I know you know
Yeah.
what it's like. And eventually I ended up at Boost Mobile and back in the industry with a steady paycheck. And at the time, Boost was owned by Sprint. And I worked at Sprint, or I'm sorry, at Boost for 4 years. And then I got a call from Marceco. And I had a really great relationship with Marceco and Dave Denherter. And I said, absolutely. And yeah, I just celebrated my 10-year anniversary here. So it's been a fun ride.
Good deal. Congratulations on that, man. So tell me a little bit about, Vista and how it came about.
Well, about 6 or 7 years ago, Boost, they developed what they call it their 4.0 program. And it was a program where stores would have a consistent look and feel, a very corporate look, which prior to that, it was you could go into 10 different Boost stores and see 10 different looks. And they developed a program where they really wanted to encourage the master agents or DDPs, direct distribution partners, to be more involved in the retail side of business. And at the time, Marceco, through Universal Wireless, we had over 100 Sprint stores. And we had the infrastructure here, and it only made sense to us to become a dealer, to not to compete with our existing customers, but to have an option to fill in areas where we needed more distribution, and we just didn't have partners that could grow. So that was the beginning of Vista. And then about a year and a half into that, we decided to take what we learned from running and operating the stores ourselves, and we formed an operator program, somewhat like an umbrella program where we could bring in smaller dealers, we could pool them together, pool our resources, and really give them an extra layer of support to help them be the best retailers that they could be.
That's huge, and I know that's helped out quite a few folks. So tell us a little bit about what all is up underneath the Vista umbrella, right? What are the things that you guys do, and how do they impact I'd say customer, but it's almost like partners, right? I mean, how do we impact our partners' business for the better through the Vista program?
Well, one of the things that we do, we have an amazing operations manager, Hillary Calkins, and she very early on, Vista was a beta tester for what's called Boost Elevate, their point of sale system. And Hillary was our point of contact for that. And so she was really instrumental with helping not just our Vista dealers, but all of Marceco dealers really learn and move forward with the Elevate platform. And so that was one of the biggest things at the gate that we were able to offer to our Vista operators. Speaking of Hillary, she was also for Marceco, the point of contact for commissions, which really led to our appeals program, which we've launched last year, and it's been highly successful.
Okay.
And it's although not directly related to Vista, it's an offshoot just by default because Hillary runs the program. And then more recently, we moved into a retail lease service program. And that program really came about because as we were going through the process of working with our dealers in the Vista Operator program, one of the requirements that Boost has is that we have to be on the lease. And so because of that, we wanted to make sure we're asking one of our owners, Jamal Kell, to sign leases. And that's a very high standard. He personally has negotiated over 200 leases in his life.
Yeah.
And he was a great teacher and mentor to all of us. And especially Neil Young, who's our business development manager. And he really mentored Neil, and Neil is just amazing. And really what we did was we went out of our way to make sure that our Vista operators had the very best leases that they could have. And for nothing else, just because we had to have Jamal sign them.
Right.
But the byproduct of that is we are helping out our operators, and we really feel that the basis, the core of starting a good business is having a good lease in place, because a bad lease could really derail your business very quickly.
Absolutely. I've said that myself on a previous video. I'm like, you're really doing yourself a disservice if you're just signing the lease, if you're just going in and taking whatever the landlord puts in front of you and signing away. No matter if you got one door or 100 doors, right? You need to have someone looking over the lease and making sure that you're protected and you got everything that you need. So really huge service. I've said it before and I'll say it again to anybody that listens. I think Vista is the best kept secret in wireless. I mean, it is a absolute must. If you are signing leases and going into the retail, you should have someone looking over your leases to protect your company. So
absolutely.
What are some of the biggest pitfalls retailers make when they're doing their own lease?
I've learned a lot myself, and I've got to give Josh credit too. I forgot to mention he was there from the very beginning with Vista and one of the founders of the Vista program. So Josh very early on was not only instrumental, but he was going through the process of helping negotiate leases and learning from Jamal, just like myself and Neil. And I learned a lot about leases. I don't know about you, Matt, but when I had my own cell phone store, myself and my partner, we looked at the lease and we said, okay, that's how much it's going to cost every month. I guess we can afford that, and it's going to be for 5 years. Okay, we'll sign it.
That was my first one. The first one I did.
Yeah, first one. Sure. We had no clue that you can negotiate it, and that was many years ago. But what I found is, and I've learned so much through the years, is that when a landlord presents you with a lease, or to start the process, a letter of intent, which Vista uses our own letter of intent just to start the conversation on the right foot, but they're handing you a legal document that is most of the time 100% in their favor.
Absolutely.
And it's the onus is on the tenant to do their due diligence, to look at the lease. If possible, hire an attorney or somebody that is qualified. At Vista, we do have an attorney on staff that we use, and it's been hugely important because it is a legal document. You want to make sure every word counts. So what we look at. We have and I'm not going to go too deep into this. This is more of a Neil conversation, but we go through and we look at every page of the lease, every word of the lease. And I think the biggest pitfall is a lot of tenants or retailers, they don't know what they don't know. Yeah. So maybe they'll negotiate the terms of the lease and the rent. But they don't really get into the finer details. And for example, HVAC. If an HVAC system goes out in the middle of
30
winter,
years, guys, it's been on the building for 30 years, right?
I mean, how hot has it been this year?
Yeah, right.
If your air conditioning, if you're in Texas and your air conditioning goes out, and by the way, your lease says that you're 100% responsible for it, and it's on top of the roof of your building, you need a crane to get it off. That could be a huge expense, unexpected expense.
Put you out of business.
It could put you out of
ruin
business.
Your business. Yeah.
And that's just one example we like to use, but there's so many things within lease, and every lease is different. And it's so important. And when we first started the Vista program, we didn't realize that was going to be the big thing that we really thought it was going to be more about, we provide a little bit of growth and incentive and incentive for getting good metrics. But we didn't really know early on the importance of having a good lease. And wow, we learned, and we're actually, we feel very passionate about making sure that people understand just how important a lease is. Unfortunately, in business, sometimes businesses don't work out and you have to get out of a lease. Well, if you're bound to a 5-year lease and it's year number 3, you still owe money 2 years worth of rent. Well, there's ways to help get out of that. We have in the past, we've had situations where we've helped negotiate ways to get out of a lease to that was mutually beneficial. It helped out the landlord, but it more importantly helped out the tenant who was, a lot of times they're struggling if they're closing a business, their finances are hurting. So we learned a lot about the program.
I think that's a critical piece, right? Because a lot of times you're signing a 5-year lease. I mean, you don't know what's going to happen to an anchor inside of your shopping plaza or some of the main stores that are in there that are bringing traffic in. It's not just put up a sign and it's like Field of Dreams, build it and they'll come. Like there are different things that bring the customers in, and you've got to utilize all of those, right? Well, things can happen over a 5-year period and things can change, and you need to be able to have that flexibility. I look at the lease, especially when the landlord presents it to you. That's kind of the opening salvo, right? It's a negotiation. It's just like somebody coming into your store and you sell them. The first price is the highest one because you can work down if you're able to negotiate, right? You don't start with the absolute lowest and then work up. In a lot of cases, the landlord's doing the exact same thing. This is the optimal. I would love to have this. This is everything I want. But they're giving that to you knowing there's going to be some negotiation or maybe hoping there won't. But if you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't bring in a Vista and let them look that over and certainly be able to tell you point A, point B, redline some things and help you save some money, not only in the short term, but in the long term. And
Absolutely.
I think that's a huge service that you guys do.
We view ourselves as an advocate for the tenant in retail situations. And we're focusing on retail now because that's what we know. We've been doing it for over 5 years now. If you include Jamal's time, who's our leader, he's been doing it for 20 plus years. So we've got a lot of experience on our team. The important thing to note is when we negotiate a lease, we try to make sure it's fair for both parties. Like I said, generally a lease out of the gate is going to be very landlord favor. But we're not looking to screw over the landlord by any means. We're just looking to kind of balance it out in the scale to make sure that both sides have a lease that they're happy with.
Good.
And we're very proud of that. We're very passionate about it. But the biggest challenge that we have is that sometimes people just don't know what they don't know, and it's our job to educate them on the importance of, if not using a company like Vista to do this, doing your due diligence yourself.
Absolutely. Well, we'll definitely be having some of the folks on from Vista. Looking forward to sitting down and talking with Hillary a little bit about the appeals program, and as we go through this series, you'll probably hear more about Vista along the way because I am such a big fan, and Josh again helped launch it. So, but don't hold that against Vista. Like I said, we moved him out of that pretty quickly into a different direction. So, but definitely, Steve, we really appreciate your time today, man. Really getting a chance to sit down and talk about Vista. I know you get excited when you talk about it. I do too. Josh does, just because we think it could really help our partners and those that are not even partnered with Marceco. It's not a Marceco program per se to where it's just for Marceco partners. It's for anybody in retail, right? So it really is. If you're watching this video, whether you're a partner of Marceco or not, if you're in the process of negotiating a lease or one's going to be coming up soon, do yourself a favor and just at least talk to Vista, right? It won't cost you a thing just to talk to them and see exactly kind of what your options may be, because I guarantee you they can help you out. So Well, guys, make sure there'll be some information for Steve below on Vista. Make sure you check them out. If you get in touch with them, you'll have an email in there. They have a website as well for Vista PCS. Thanks so much, Steve, for being with us today, man. I hope everybody out there enjoyed the chat as much as we did. And we're looking forward to seeing you guys again next Thursday. And if you don't know already, check us out and see why it's better at Marceco.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Thanks.
And that's a strategic point. I'm going to open the mason jar and let the fly out. So
You still got to catch it with chopsticks.
You got to catch it
with chopsticks. Yeah,
that's right.
still got to do that.
Mr. Miyagi style.